this, at least what we can do now, there are 8 shows that were made with the civilians, and then the Unknown Soldier is the 9th one.
I would say too, you know, he's such an amazing artist, is in deeply into politics. If you can find, I don't know if it's out there, but he hosted Election Hootenanny, which was the unfortunate election. And I remember when I walked in, he was in a corner with whiskey just like this, and we were so hopeful. Like I had left an election party to go down to this event thinking we were still okay, and I saw him and I was like, no, wait, no. And if you watch, though, the evening and the degradation of our nation, while still the hope that he kind of harangued, and he finished with this rousing, "This land is your land," like, just take a look. I
don't think you can actually see it.
Oh, you can't? Oh, never mind.
But,
well, you all should know, though, about it. It was at Joe's Club.
But you can hear the songs. So the songs that I think were mentioned earlier, which were written in the lead up to the 2016 election, where he traveled around the country and interviewed all sorts of different people and wrote songs for the New Yorker Radio Hour. Him singing those songs is available online through the New Yorker Radio Hour, and then we're also recording other performers, and that's going to be included in the cast album project. So those songs are in there too. So 10 shows. It's called 10.
If you are curious, on the public, I think they did just a video live of it. They might still have clips of just watching him rouse the crowd again. It's just such a beautiful image, and spoke a lot about who he was. So,
You live streamed?
yeah, they live streamed it, and then they posted it on the website, because I missed parts of the evening and I watched the whole thing.
Maybe it's in their archives.
Maybe. So those of you who are...
Gonna make a note. We'll hunt for it.
Exactly.
If we find it, we'll share it.
I looked for it and I couldn't find it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
it's not online. Yeah, we've looked too.
Maybe, yeah.
It could be in an office somewhere. So
It's definitely, we're gonna get it.
we're gonna find it.
Sounds like it exists somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for those albums, oh my god.
Is there any other stuff that you know does exist? I mean, the catalog that already is there is wide too. Is there a song or even a show that you're like, this one is not getting talked about as much as it really should be? I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about Pretty Filthy, and I know that was a really awesome one. Something to really check out and look into.
I love Elise's number, I really want it. What if I want it?
Oh yeah.
It's, about what if the complications of what if I like it, what if
It's
I
the I Want song.
Yeah.
It's the opening I Want to Be a Porn Star song. And you can see Luba Mason singing.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes.
On the review in the New York Times. And yeah. I mean, maybe in a future world where the American theater is not so scared of sex, the show will get produced again. Even in the yeah, so far Stormy Daniels we tried to interview, but she wanted to be paid. Just a little side note. But yeah, I mean that one is available. You can listen to it. I do think it's one of the shows that he and I did together that I'm the most proud of, and maybe someday we'll get a second production.
There's a lot of good stuff if you just literally search for Michael on YouTube, though. There's just so many interviews with him and cut songs from things and Fortress of Solitude, like clips, just like deep dig other stuff.
I believe you have a playlist too on Spotify.
Yes.
Songs to check out.
And the songs that he sang in that concert when I was very little and had no right to ask Michael Friedman to perform at my concert, it's definitely, there's 2 performances of him on YouTube doing them.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely check out the ones where he's singing
Yeah.
stuff, because that's priceless.
I wanted to ask specifically Rebecca, Maria-Christina, when I originally started talking to Britton Smith, who's in Marcello, about being on this panel, he couldn't get out of rehearsal to join us, and as his producer, we had to say it's cool, we appreciate the stage management rigidity there. But Britton, when I first approached him to do it, he said yes, and the reason he really wanted to do it is to talk about how Michael was incredibly proactive about involving people of color and in his shows, and women in the shows, and creative teams. And you know, as we all know, that that's still rare, unfortunately, in this industry, and I wonder if you could speak to that at all.
Yeah, I would say that the thing that came to my mind when you were asking if there was something of Michael's that that we wish people knew more about, I just kept thinking it's like it's the stuff that he was going to write. Michael was always thinking ahead and thinking about the world that we actually live in and trying to really make space for everyone in our world to exist on the stage and on the page, and really looked at individuals as individuals to be respected and to treat as though they are smart the way he was smart, and I think that there was just a lot that Michael was working on before he passed, but also just the stuff that he was starting to get into those last couple of years with the election stuff, and even with Fortress, just like, I think he was just digging into some things that that were complicated and that offended people and that scared people, but I think all of that was really important and exciting.
And the fact that we are serving on this panel, just he saw the world as it is, which is not homogenous, and yeah, it's a loss as a result of that. But it's funny to hear you draw attention to it, because that was just his world. You know, it's. But yeah, to honor that aspect of his inclusion and his like, he had a lot of social capital as a white man, you know, and a lot of resources, and yeah, we all are benefiting or from it, hopefully, moving forward. But yeah, I just think the fact that we are here to women of color, having done his pieces, not in a chorus in the background or playing some reduced, yes, sir, role, yeah, speaks volumes for who he was and who he stood for.
And I think it's because it wasn't that he was, you know, like doing the, like, oh, we should have a diverse cast, so let's plug this person in here. It was like he was really, again, just looking at individuals as individuals and believe that there should be space for everyone.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great number, Fortress of Solitude, song history. Is it the song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Middle
Middle
Spaces.
Spaces.
That's the one too. Middle Spaces is the one that's on that TED Talk.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Jen, I wonder if you could give us sort of your take on how Michael changed the landscape of musical theater, because musical theater, I feel like, for the past 100 years is fairly sort of straight and narrow path. I mean, there's diversions, and there's really important diversions, Rent and Hamilton, and stuff that really does go outside the that path. But I feel like when I really started digging deep into Michael's work, I realized what an impact he had on derailing that quite often. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit to the landscape changing that happened because of him.
Well, I think also he absolutely developed that, but he was so aware of the political types of musical theater that happened that were outside the mainstream. And because I spent so much time talking to him about these underappreciated musicals of the past, things like, you know, Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death and Liz Swados' work, and, you know, the stuff that was happening at the public in the 70s and 80s, he was so aware that there was, there were things that came before him that were political in these ways, and how he wanted to be part of that legacy. And then, like, yeah, he would write things that made people angry, and I saw a lot of people taking that in. I feel like there are still younger musical theater writers that would write about something that they wouldn't have because they saw Pretty Filthy or Fortress of Solitude. So yeah, I think he was both aware of how he came in that timeline and also pushing it further.
Amazing answer. And you'd be an excellent person to answer that question. Anything to add to that aspect?
I agree.
Right. Before I open up the floor to your questions, do you four have any questions for each other?
I have a question for you guys, sorry. How, like, you spoke about like what he was like in a production, like in a preview period or something like that. Was there anything that you worked on with him that changed a lot from the like first day of rehearsal to the time it got on stage that you with him? Everything.
Pretty much everything.
I just love to hear, like, if there's any story that came to mind about that, because I just know he was so, like, he would bring in something the next day that was totally different. You know, that.
Yeah, I mean, with our work, I mean, I won't go through the whole history because it's a lot, but, you know, the very first show we did was much more like a kind of company-devised thing, and we all just jumped in and did it, and just the show was done by the time we had to perform. And then the next one was Gone Missing, which just kind of weirdly came together quickly, and found itself and landed and adjusted a little bit, and everything after that was harder for whatever reason. And a lot of times it was finding the last song, and I think probably the most intense composer pain that I've seen him in was when he didn't feel like he had the last song, because the last song has to do a lot. It is the thing that's going to give meaning to everything that you saw before and pull it together and then open it out and send you back into the world with the show. So I'm Nobody's Lunch was our third show, and that last song was a painful birth. But then, you know, it was a beautiful child once it was born. And with This Beautiful City, I think we actually got through one whole production at the Humana Festival without really having an ending, and then got through the end of the first week of previews in Los Angeles with the last song changing every day, and then the real last song coming pretty much with enough time for the actors to rehearse it before the opening. But I think that's how things roll in musicals. I mean, there are so many stories of musicals when the actors are in preview and there are words, you know, stuck places because they just came in that day. And you know, I will throw it back to the musical theater performers, because those of us who work with you guys, like we genuinely think of you as superheroes. And it is something you, just from what you've been through, especially those of you that have done new musicals, it's yeah. You can soak up a lot and just do it, and I think that we have made people do things at the last minute which should not be possible according to the laws of physics and nature.
Openings and closings, generally, with all the new musicals. Every single one that I've worked on, both Michael and Maher. And Pretty Filthy, we actually toyed with ending quite a bit. And there was also a PSA for porn that we toyed with. Do you remember that number that got completely cut?
Oh yeah.
It was like,
Please don't download
please
porn.
don't download porn for free. You know, so you have all these amazing babies. One number, Sam Pinkleton, the choreographer, we had like fully choreographed, and then it was just completely cut. It was like a showgirl, Esther Williams. We were like on the floor, like spreading our legs and all that stuff. It's important as well too. So, but openings and closings, yeah, have been the trickiest. Because it's true, how you open determines what people will walk potentially, and how you close is what are you putting out into the universe, into the world. But yeah, being inside it, we've definitely, like, even up to opening, I've experienced like major shifts in numbers. One, which was not on my list, Adam Chandler Brown did tons of Michael's work. If you ever get to hear his interpretations of Michael's stuff, please. But on a musical that we worked on, he got brand new like number, like similar sentiment, romantic ballad. This is gonna kind of, you know, be the linchpin for the love story, but totally different number, like completely different. He was a rock star. We couldn't believe he banged it out with like one day. So yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting, and once it's in your bones, you know, in your cells. It's exciting to explore a different song that expresses the same thing that you thought you were expressing. You know what I mean? You've always become that a lot too. I'm also dying. Y'all are.
questions for each other? Great, so let's open the floor to questions. Yes, sir. Oklahoma sure, ready? I'm assuming I know what that question is for.
So first I just want to say thank you all for doing this. Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson means everything to me. Michael did a good face for me and it hangs above my head. So it means, he meant a lot to me. I wish I had been able to know him as much as you guys got to know him. So I thank you for being here to share those stories and memories. What I wanted to ask, I guess, Steve, this might be best asked this to you. When Michael passed, it came to light that him and Alex Timbers had been working on a stage version of King of Kong, and I'm wondering if you have any insight if that's ever going to see the light of day, or if we ever going to hear anything from it.
I think the unfortunate answer is I don't know.
And from my research, I saw that, tell me if I'm wrong, that King of Kong was about the world's best Kong player.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, I was like.
It's based on a
It's actually not
documentary
about
about
Oh,
Rob
Donkey
Haskins
Kong.
was right, the writing was on it, and the New York Times piece, that people knew it was in the works, but no one actually knew until that New York Times article that they were all the ones working on it, so I guess, and there's not really been any word out of it, so it's,
Yes, Anatole.
Hi. So, when I was in high school, like, I was looking for a lot of stuff, and I discovered Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, like, around the time we were learning about Andrew Jackson in my U.S. history class. And that show pretty much got me through entirely high school. I fell in love with Michael Friedman at such a young age. And, last year, when I found out of his passing, it hit me like a gut punch. I never got to properly meet him because Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson was so important, mostly responsible for every show that I saw of his. I saw Here's Hoover. I applied for that production. That was such a special show. But just working with him, just hearing your stories and working with him, this means everything to me. I only have a question. I just want to thank you guys so much.
Yes. Okay. No, great. Awesome.
So really, Jennifer, this is for you. So do you see any parallels between Michael Friedman and Jonathan Larson, given all the work that you've done so intimately with both of their catalogs?
Michael and I had a conversation about doing a panel at City Center Encores about legacy carriers, about Liz Suedos' widow, about Jonathan's sister, and it makes me like, I can't believe we're here talking about him. Like, it's awful and weird, but I keep remembering that in that conversation we talked a lot about Jonathan, and I think the thing was, in talking to a lot of Jonathan's friends, they're like, we know what he would have written next would have been really political, which always, and I talked to Michael about that, and I do see them as tied in that way, because they both were interested in talking about things that people weren't talking about in musicals. And Michael died of AIDS, and one of the other conversations I had with him was Michael was furious that people were talking about the legacy of Howard Ashman in a talkback that we both attended, and they didn't say that Howard Ashman had died of AIDS because he thought that was an important thing for us to talk about and remember. And so I think, in talking about it, we make the stigma not exist. So I feel like he was really interested in being honest about people's legacies and about all the topics that he discussed.
Thanks for that question. As the guy with the rent tattoo, I appreciate you. Yes.
So I went to one of the Encore Off Center like panels that he did, and it was like weird. It was like in March, and I wasn't really sure how it worked. But I went, and he was just so funny, and there's great videos of that online if you want to watch that. And also I have a question for Jen. Like, I love underappreciated musicals. Can you tell us more about like the arguments?
Truly, like, I would be like, Michael, you guys should do this, and he would be like, that musical's garbage. And then, and then he would name like a musical that he loved, and I would be like, are you sure that one? And he would be like, Jennifer, you go home and you listen to it 4 times, and like you come back and when you've listened to it 4 times. So he had such strong, it was part of him championing these people that didn't get their work seen, and we just had a lot of the same opinions and some different ones. But like the shows I mentioned, honestly, were 3 that I remember him being so obsessed with. 4 Saints and 3 Acts had the first Black female musical director on Broadway in the 30s. And when he started telling me about that, I was like, I don't know about this. And he was so obsessed with that. And a lot of the shows like that one that he was obsessed with, you know, I think Encores was so smart to hire him to do that because of the way he wanted people that weren't usually seen to be seen.
Cool.
And I finally have a question to Maria, because when I saw Bloody Bloody, I saw it in public. That was the first show I ever saw in public. And then when I saw it going to Broadway, I wanted to see it on Broadway. So did you join the cast when it moved to Broadway?
Luckily, so
I just want to know what the
timing is
process
everything.
of doing that show was
Timing
like.
is everything,
Because
yeah.
honestly, I think that show deserves a revival right now. I remember after the election, that was all I listened to.
They're doing it quite a bit, actually, regionally and in high schools now, so there is hope and it's out there. But I was fortunate enough, the public, it's a contractual thing. If they extend a certain amount, then they have to hire understudies. So they extended enough. I was actually in a different show, and it just worked out timing that I could come on for that last line, and then I was able to write it when it came transferred commercially. So, I saw both, and the challenge, which Rebecca's going to find too, and Jennifer would be more chill, just transferring space is a huge challenge. The design team was brilliant. I don't know if you saw it. It was all immersive. Yeah. So the challenges, and we tweaked quite a bit. Talking about like jokes, I remember just Michael Friedman. There was like a little bubble creative moment where things got a little, and he went away, and then we were running something on stage like tech. It was tech, and all of a sudden from the balcony we hear, "It's that!" We're like, Michael's here, and he had like crawled up. He was underneath one of the chairs above the balcony, and we were like, oh my, like he had been there the whole time. He didn't leave. He was just like taking in all the energy. But bloody, especially like tech stuff. It's that's a nightmare for some because it's like, well, that's not the show I envisioned, but everybody's fighting for their own kind of translation of that. So yeah, but I will never forget that. And I was because I was sitting in the audience in the orchestra watching my colleagues because I was swinging so. And Daddy's watching, It's very nice.
You have a question?
I don't have a question. It's just that Bloody always means so much to me. I don't exactly remember how I found it. But like when schools I went to, when there weren't a lot of Broadway kids, when those kids who were always in Broadway, I always showed them Bloody, and I always showed them my love of that show, and that was the show I always listened to. And I remember after that, when I saw the thing that we did in public, I remember I was late to school one day, we missed our train, so we had to get in the bus. And on that bus ride, which was like super long because it's a bus, I decided to listen to Fortress of Solitude, and I just was blown away. And I also listened to Pretty Filthy, and the reason why I love that show is the reason, and also the reason why I love Runaways, is because Runaways is my favorite show, is because it gets rid of this stigma about people, and you're like, with people who run away, or a porn star, or somebody, you're like, why did you do that? And you always hold that kind of grudge against them. And it just kind of broke that, and it was like, and with Runaways especially, and with Lee, it's just like, people that you don't get to see, people whose story that I would have never heard. I just see them now in such a true fashion.
Awesome. That's actually an excellent segue. You almost wrote my closing statement for me, or a nice segue into it at least, which is that I just think the thing that's so clear to me